Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I wanted to talk about following. Not following on the social media side of things, but following when it comes to creative ideas. I think that it's really important to not feel like you have to be completely 100% original in everything you do. This kind of goes, again, back to the road trip that I mentioned last week. But I found a lot of the time driving was a lot easier when I was following somebody because the route I was taking, there was really only one way to go to get. It's like one main artery, but it twisted around a lot. So it was really nice to have somebody who probably knew the way a little bit more than I did. Plus, you save a little bit on gas mileage because, you know, you're drafting behind somebody, obviously at a safe distance, but where am I going with this? But the point it does have a lot of direct relations, right, to with doing creative work. And the idea of not having to be 100% original all the time, I think is a relief that some people need to hear sometimes. I know that when I started doing music, everything I needed to make was something I've never heard before, something that nobody's ever heard before, and it was completely new and original. And it's just like, man, that's exhausting. And honestly, even sometimes, even these days, I get that feeling that I have to break out and make something new and original, or else I'm not a legitimate artist. And I feel that it's just really, you know, valuable to take the knowledge you have and be inspired by those around you and those people who have released things recently, and, you know, use that as inspiration. And I've talked about the Austin Kleon book, Steal Like an Artist, a lot in the past, but this is the same case where it's just like there's a lot of ways that you can do this kind of stuff, and like it's just important to not feel like you have to be original all the time. It's okay to follow. I mean, it's just like kind of the fads with game development as well. Like roguelites are very popular, deck building games are very popular, and it's just like, excuse me, that format's been around forever. But people are still finding ways to add new twists to that format and to make it interesting and unique. And I think that that's completely valid, because, you know, you can't make an entirely new game with entirely new mechanics nobody's seen before. And even if you did do that, it would probably be alienating to a lot of people because they have to learn literally everything again, and they can't rely on some of the mechanics that they've learned from past games. And it's just like, it's important to innovate, but I think that there's a threshold between that innovation and like alienating people because it's so new and so weird. And excuse me, there will always be a niche audience for the things that are completely weird. And I mean, what was that? What's that? Dwarf Fortress is one of those where it's just like, it was one of those games that just goes so far down a rabbit hole that if you get into it, you really get into it. But it's also, and I hate this word, ungrockable. I don't like the word grok. To most people, it's just like incomprehensible to many people because it goes in so many directions that are outside the quote unquote normal game experience. But you know, they built an audience that way, and that's okay. And from there, people have built Dwarf Fortress style games that are a little bit more approachable because Dwarf Fortress kind of pioneered that style of game in many ways. So I think that there is no problem with following because other people have cleared the way. You're basically drafting behind these other people. You're letting them do the heavy lifting of forging forward and what is it with drafting? Like when you're behind another car, like the air pressure or like the air is more distributed or mixed up. I'm very distracted today. I'm sorry. But I hope you get the general idea of what I'm saying for this. I think that it's important to not always feel like you have to be 100% original all the time. Heck, I mean, a lot of my 2-hour track challenges, I have been kind of reusing some of the same ideas over and over, and they still sound new and different and unique because they're presented in a different format and in a unique format. And I think that that's really important. I lost my train of thought. I apologize. I hope that this makes a little bit of sense to you. I'm recording this immediately after last week's, so I am still suffering from some pretty major allergies. But I hope that that this makes some sense, and then this inspires you to be a little bit more bland, which sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes to get that creative momentum going, you just need to get stuff out there, and following other people's direction is a good way to do that. So thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. I really genuinely do appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Be remarkable.